Here they are. Here's my baby boy that was talking to you in my last video. And there's our baby girl. He's 2, she's 9. They are sweet, sweet babies. Hi, this is Kelly. Welcome to my channel. Today I have 2 witchy DIYs for you. One's a little whimsical, one's more dark and moody. DIY number 1, Blooming Witchcraft. So this is some black air dry clay. I grabbed these at Dollar General. They're like $1, but you can get larger packages of it. Amazon has it, just about any craft store. And first you want to knead it really well, mash it between your hands, warm it up and soften it and play with it a little bit before you start to shape it. And I'm just going to roll it into a cone shape, and we're going to form a witch's hat. And now that I've got the cone shape, I'm going to flatten the bottom a little bit, and it's going to go, this isn't the pot I'm going to use. I've just got a dowel rod that I'm going to set this hat on to dry. And I'm going to press that down on the dowel rod gently, slowly, and form a hole, and that's, I want that hole to stay that size, because I'm going to use that dowel rod, just not that pot. And from that hole you can kind of pull, you know, bend it away from the hole and pull out your the brim of your hat, if that makes any sense. It does help. You can take your thumb and press a hole and do it that way as well. And I'm just going to keep shaping it until I'm happy with how it looks. And this, I had to let this dry for like 2 or 3 days, because where it's the thickest, it took a while. So I'm going to put it back on my dowel rod here, and I'm going to place it in this pot since it has some foam in it. And I'm going to leave it to dry like that. And then once it dried overnight, I pulled it off of there, and you know, it was dry enough on the outside where I could take it off of there and lay it on its side, because it had to dry inside the hole and everywhere. But yeah, I think it was 3 days before I trusted that it was dry all the way through. So I've got this little terracotta pot that I had dry brushed something white on it for something Easter and never got a chance to use it. So we're just going to paint this thing with my folk art black, rich black chalk paint. I like doing terracotta pots. You don't even have to paint them, they're pretty. So once that's dry, I've got this pumpkin colored chalk paint. This is also a folk art, I believe. No, I'm sorry, that's the Waverly pumpkin. And I'm just going to dry brush a little orange around there. Some nice orange accent over the black. And when you're painting on this terracotta and chalk paint, it doesn't take long to dry at all. And I've got this little foam disc, and luckily it just happened to be about the right size. It fit right in there nicely. And I glued that little piece, is a piece of popsicle stick, and just painted it like the rest of the pot, so the dowel rod wouldn't come all the way through that hole in the bottom. And I'm just gonna squirt off a whole lot of hot glue down through this hole in the middle. I figured if you get enough in there, that dowel rod's gonna land in it once you so. Yep, make sure it's nice and straight, and just put that aside to cool off and cure, or whatever you want to call it. So here's my hat, all dry finally, and this is some black reindeer moss. Now, heads up, if you're gonna use this black reindeer moss, I get it from Amazon. I'll leave the link in the description. This stuff, it wanted to fight me. First of all, they have to put a lot of dye in it, I guess, so your hands are going to be stained black. It does wash off. It's not like you're walking around for a week with black fingers, but it's I don't know, it's wetter. It fought me trying to glue it on. Anyway, you can use just regular, you know, green moss would also be very cute. So if I ever do this again, I'm just using the regular moss, because this black dye was a pain in the butt. So anyway, basically I'm just adding some hot glue and try not to let it blob up in one spot, and then just keep adding the reindeer moss. And what you want to do is get how much you know you want to go in that place, and then grab some more, grab extra, and just hold on, and, you know, pack it on top of there and hold it in place to protect your fingers. And the glue's going to grab what the glue's going to grab, if you think about it, this moss. And then doing this tip, and I have the curve and everything, this was the most difficult part. Once I got the around that curve, it was a lot easier, because you can apply a whole lot more at once. Because I thought this is going to take me forever, but again, once we got around the curve, it was a lot easier. And basically you just have to keep adding glue and adding moss, and you're going to want to trim the excess, because you see where it looks right now, you can't see the shape of it very well because of all the excess moss. So I got my little bitty detail scissors, and I trim as I go along, but you can pack it all on there and trim it at the end. But I like to keep it trimmed so I can see, so I can tell what might be glued down, if there's any loose spots. I'd rather do that as I go than try to glue stuff down later, because of course glue strings, moss and glue string, it's a mess sometimes. So the top portion is finally done here, and it's kind of starting to look like something. But yeah, see, now I can do a much bigger area, and it goes a lot quicker. And don't be afraid to put some glue down. Just like I said, make sure you have a handful of moss, a lot thicker than what you need. That'll protect your fingers and help you get it, you know, hold it in place. Because you get your finger in it, burn yourself, pull your finger, then the moss is coming off, and there's glue everywhere, and you're cussing. And you want to throw your project in the yard. Don't do that. Don't do that. I haven't done it yet. I've wanted to. Not with this hat, but it did fight me at first. But once I got going, it was a lot easier. But yeah, the black moss really looks nice, but I was like, if I'd have known this, I'd have gone with the regular green moss. And now the Dollar Tree sells reindeer moss, but I don't like the color of that so much. It's too, I don't know. It's a bright green, but it's not a pretty green. Because I bought some from Joann's right before they closed, and it was a green. And it was a bright green, but it was a pretty color. And anyway, I'm jabberjawing here. Look at my hands. See what? Look, of course, it makes a giant mess. But yeah, but now we're finally just about there. But we've got to give it a little haircut, and you just want to trim up, and be careful not to take too much off or cut into your clay or. So here we have that all done, and I'm gonna have to clean up this mess. And here's my pot. I've got the dowel rod in there, and the it's already got the hole ready to go, right size and everything. Add some hot glue, and we're going to press it down on the dowel rod. Create our topiary. So cute. I did bunnies for Easter. These little foam bunnies, they were so cute. And I'm just going to add some regular natural colored Spanish moss to the pot. Cover up that green foam. And I'm going to use some of my favorite little black and orange florals. They're the prettiest little things. And I didn't add any glue because this nice stiff styrofoam, you really have to kind of push it in this stiffer styrofoam. And it's not going to go anywhere. You can add glue if you like, and this is good quality styrofoam. This isn't like some Dollar Tree stuff that, you know, falls apart every time you poke at it, you know. And I'm just going to go around with a little bit of black, and then I'm going to come back around and fill it in with some orange for a pop of color. I want to thank everyone for being here with me today. I really appreciate each and every one of you. Your sweet comments and your support just mean a lot to me. I really enjoy doing my thing here on my channel, and you guys are a big help in allowing that to happen, so I really appreciate it. I hope you're enjoying this. Look how cute. And now I've got these Those first two flowers came from Amazon. I'll leave you the link. And these little yellowish flowers, they came from Hobby Lobby last year. And I just thought, just something a little, mix it up a little bit. And these are on some nice stiff wires already. The little black and orange ones, they came off of a stem, so they're the female end, so you need to add a pick. And if the pick fits into the stem nice and tight, you don't have to glue it. But if it's a little loose, you can add a little bit of hot glue. And hold on to your picks when you're cutting flowers off of bunches, because you never know when they're going to come in handy. Now, I need to use a pick for these little pumpkins, so yeah, hold on to them. So yeah, I've got these little, they were in some Dollar General or Dollar Tree table scatter, little bitty pumpkins, and I just gave them a quick little paint job. Pumpkin orange on the bigger one and black on the other, and then dry brush the opposite color on there. And I'm just going to, I poked a hole, add a little bit of hot glue, and add my pick so I can press these down into the foam. Now I have those those are my little snip pliers. I also had some long needle nose pliers that I used to help me, there they are, help me press these down, because with those styrofoam pumpkins, you start pushing on the top of that pumpkin, and it's that stiff styrofoam, you're going to have that pick come through the pumpkin and stab you in the hand. So I grabbed a hold of the pick underneath the pumpkin with the pliers to help push that in. Just a little tip, because I'm like, if I push down on this pumpkin, it's going to poke all the way through. So this is just some orange chiffon ribbon, and I cut it in half lengthwise, and I'm just going to create this little hat band here, a little hot glue, burning myself right there. Yeah. Look how cute this is. This is such a fun one, and you can use any colors you want, any florals you want. You don't have to use the black moss, because that stuff was a mess, and you saw earlier how stained my hands were from using it. And it seems to be very, very wet, because I put the hat aside when I first got done gluing all that on a paper plate, and the paper plate, it looked like it was wet, where it's the dye had run off. So yeah, just keep that in mind with this black dye and this stuff. It does make a mess. So I added a little sprig of that orange to the hat band, and now you know my favorite, the little rag bow, and I've just got some orange and black pieces of chiffon ribbon here and some nice skinny black twine, and I just layered them orange black, just make sure you're in the center. Yeah, this is a fun one. But yeah, you can make this more dark and moody. You can use black and purple, you can do whatever you like, but again, this would look beautiful with any color moss if you don't want to fool with this black dye. Look how cute. Love it. Then these two roses. I bought a couple of bunches of these little rosebuds from Michael's, and they're red. So I took my trusty pumpkin orange and black chalk paint and painted those and put them in between the little pumpkins. And I just had a naked spot, so I added a couple more pieces around the back and side there. And this little topiary is complete. DIY number 2, Cauldron of Shadows. This is a little more on the dark and moody side. I've got this Dollar Tree cutting board and Waverly truffle, any brown or black will do. And this is just the base. I've got this cauldron here. I got this from Dollar General last year. Unfortunately, they didn't have any out this year. I will look on Amazon and see if they sell something similar and link it if they do, but I haven't had a chance to look yet. I don't know. But this thing's just so cool. I've been trying to figure out what to do with it for, like I said, I've had it for a year. And I'm just going to hot glue the feet down to this little board here. And this is a glue string hot mess too. So I've got these fairy lights and a battery pack here. Now, you need to be able to lift this off and change the batteries. And the battery compartment opens on the bottom. And so I just rolled some blue painter's tape in a loop, sticky side out, to just put that in place. And I'm also going to tape down the excess wire for the fairy lights. You want to be able to turn it on and off and change the batteries both, so I didn't want to glue it down. And this little, I've got this little twig here, I don't know, it came off a grapevine wreath, and I painted it black. And I lay this across the top, and by the time I'm done, you don't really see much of it, but the little pieces sticking out on both ends kind of show. So it's kind of cute. You don't have to do all that. Again, I don't even know if you'd be able to find something like this. You could build a structure for a cauldron if you wanted to. You could probably do some dowel rods. You could make something pretty cute. So I'm trying not to glue. I'm not going to glue the lights. And I didn't want to glue this branch. So I'm just going to twist the lights around the branch to hold it in place. I don't know if you've messed with these lights before, but they have a mind of their own. They're springy and crazy, but once you get them where you want them wrapped around something, they will stay put. But when they're all open and flying all over the place, they're a little hard to wrangle. But yeah, just take your time. You don't want to accidentally snag them on something and pull too hard and break them or whatever. But yeah, you just gotta be patient and take your time with these things. So what I'm gonna do is wrap it around the top and down the other leg, and then I'm gonna have to take it across from the leg to the cauldron so we have some light inside. And I need to make sure that there's no actual light between the leg and the cauldron, so there's not just a floating light, you know, because we're gonna hide that later. And then there's this little loop where the hanger connects to the top of the cauldron, and I'm just gonna pull it through there, and I think I wrap it around there one time to keep it from moving around. Yeah, I wrap around that one time, and then we're just gonna ball the rest of them up and put down in the bottom of the cauldron. Get those lights in there. Okay, make sure they still work. There we go, and there's what we got so far. And unfortunately, I do break that one piece. I mean, there's still some that shows, but I broke the I was so mad, but you know, it was so fragile. It was only a matter of when it was going to get broken. So now I've got some of this black Spanish moss. Now the black Spanish moss isn't a problem. That black reindeer moss is what had the crazy dye. This black Spanish moss is not like that. So I've got some black Spanish moss, and I've got some green, you'll see in a minute, and I'm putting glue in between where the lights are, because if these lights fail, you know, I might have to just cut them. They're I don't know if I'd be able to get them out of there, but I can, you know, cut them off and just leave them because they're pretty well hidden. And then look at that, isn't that pretty? So I alternate the black and green moss across the sides and the top. Now I've got my burgundy chiffon ribbon, and I've just tied it to the one side, so we got a little dangling piece there. Gotta have some danglies. And we're just gonna take this and kind of wrap it in between where the black and green moss meet. And we're gonna do this not too tight. We want it to kind of just be kind of draped, you know. Don't want to pull it too tight. And just keep coming around, and we're gonna come around and down, and then I'm gonna have a piece of that chiffon ribbon going from the leg to the cauldron, and then it's going to be dangling from there, and it's going to be draped in front of where that wire is, and it'll hide the wire. So here I come across, you see where I pulled it across, and I'm going to drape it on there. Trim that off. I love this. Anybody's watching any of my videos knows how much I love the chiffon ribbon. So that's what I have so far. And I'm going to take a little black piece, and I'm going to put that above the burgundy and tie it to the handle, so it'll add, you know, a little black accent and hold the burgundy ribbon in place as well. Now I got the little curly cues off of the grapevine wreath, and I managed to get 3 or 4 of them just, wrap them around there and kind of hook them to themselves, And I just took a little bit of rub and buff and add little gold accents to the curls. So now I'm gonna put a little bit of creepy cloth in the cauldron on top of the fairy lights. And I'm just kind of getting that where it kind of drapes over, spills over on the outside. Oh, I put some creepy cloth underneath the lights as well to kind of to lift them up too. I didn't show that, but there's some underneath the lights as well. And I made sure I had extra, so when I put some black Spanish moss down in there to where you could have that covering the lights up, but you can still see it lit up, but not see the source of the light. Now, here I just take some metallic champagne gold acrylic paint, and I'm just going to dry brush. I wanted to glam it up a little bit. Now this, if you're going to do something like this, do this beforehand. I didn't think of this till after I had it. I'm like, oh no. I want to add some dirt, so to speak, just underneath where the cauldron hangs. And again, I never know what I'm going to do till I'm in the middle of it. So anyway, if you do something like this, do this first if you want to do this. I'm using my cinnamon, and all I did was just paint a coat of that same truffle brown, and I'm going to just douse it with cinnamon, and I leave that to dry for about an hour, and then I come back with a very soft paintbrush and brush away the excess, because I didn't want to just start blowing on it and shaking it and getting it all over everything else, so I had to be really careful. These are just some rocks from my driveway, so I created a little, like a fire pit. It hangs too low for me to be able to put a light under it. I was like, damn, I wish one of those little tea lights or something fit under it, but it hangs too low. But you get the idea, So I thought, well, I'm going to go ahead and put rocks around it. So now I'm going to take, this is just natural colored Spanish moss, and we're going to put that around the outside of the rocks, and that'll hide the excess cinnamon area as well. I painted the tape around and glued that to tape. And then there's like a little dirt circle under, inside the rocks. And then I'm going to go in between here and there with some of the green Spanish moss, because you figure the brown Spanish moss will be more dead near where there might be a fire, and then it'll be greener further away. That was my that was my reasoning on it. But also it gives it some life instead of just being all one dull color all the way across. So yeah, there's a lot of moss with this. And also in the back you see I have a tea light. I just left a spot where I could stick a tea light on there. And you don't want to glue that either. You got to pick it up and turn it on and off. And then you can just kind of fluff your moss over top of it. And I also glued some moss to the battery pack. You can still get to the switch, but it's just glued to this, not, glued to anything else. And I've got these little mums. They're so pretty. They came from Dollar Tree this year. And I just thought they were so pretty. These little bones came from Dollar Tree. And I, of course, painted the bones with Waverly Sandstone and distressed with a little antiquing wax and then a coat of Mod Podge to seal them. And I took one of the moms and glued it to the very top of the structure. I know it's hard to see what I'm doing, the angle we have. And I've got two that I glued to the leg. And the ones in the pot, I just set them in there. There's no reason to get glue all in there, just make a mess. But I wanted it to look like the flowers or the magic or whatever, was kind of spilling out of the cauldron. And this little skull also came from Dollar Tree. And so I decided I was going to go back and glam up the bones too. So I took my metallic champagne gold. And this is, this just really gives it a shimmer more than anything. It's really pretty. And I'm going to go ahead and add a little glue to the skull. And put him down. And then I have another piece of burgundy and black chiffon ribbon. And I'm just going to crisscross these bones. These were bigger. The smaller ones went into the cauldron. And the two bigger ones, I'm just going to tie my pretty chiffon ribbon around them. And I'm just going to place them in the moss. I'm not going to try to glue that. It'll just make a mess. Just, you know how it is, hot glue and moss, and yeah, glue strings and burning yourself, and it's just not worth all that. Let me turn on all my lights. This one is done. Let me know in the comments what you think. I love how this turned out. And here they are. Love this little topiary. Very Halloween, orange and black. And my cauldron. I've got it with the lights off and with the lights on. And I'm very happy with how it turned out. Thank you guys so much for being here with me today. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to like and share and all the things. See you next time. Bye.